Hello and welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Show. I am your host, Jay Jones. Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the Black community by promoting business ownership. If you are currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, we invite you to join us every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint.
Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 367. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today's show topic is E-commerce saved my life. Maybe it can do the same for you. E-commerce saved my life. Maybe it can do the same for you. So today, family, we're going to do a little something different. I'm actually going to tell a story, switching it up a little bit, but there is a moral at the end, and there are some points you can take away. So normally I do actionable steps, but I think sometimes you can get the point across when you tell stories. Everybody loves stories. So hopefully this is a good story for you. Now, before we get to today's episode, though, I just want to share a few things with the BEB family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and my resource links, such as the link to my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. Also, 2 platforms I created to help circulate those dollars in the worldwide Black economy, BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. And also my new rebranded, rebooted Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Academy, BEBacademy.com. You can get 5 days free access. Just go to BEBacademy.com and you have access to all of my online courses, trainings, webinars, and learning material. Now, let's get ready for today's show. E-commerce saved my life. Maybe it can do the same for you. So I want to go back in time a little bit. We're going to go back to September of 2008, and the stock market had just dropped, I think at the end of September, over 770 points, which was a major crash. There was all type of financial unrest. Many mortgage companies and banks were closing. Some of the largest banks that in the history of the United States have been closing. And so it was really crazy right then. Where was I during this time? I was in my home in Philadelphia, and I was with my wife. My 2 daughters at the time were aged 13 and 10. And so I just want to tell you a little story. It ends up well, but about e-commerce and how it saved my life. And maybe it can do the same thing for you too. And I want to make sure that you guys understand there is a moral at the end of this, and we're definitely going to touch on that. But any of you guys who have listened to the podcast for any number of years have probably heard my backstory where I almost lost it all twice. So the first time was my son, who's my youngest, he had brain cancer and he passed away at 17 months old. And at that time, my wife, who was a school teacher, had all the benefits and the consistent income, had to stop working. And I had literally just started out on a new business venture. So my money at the time was up and down. And so as we dealt with my son battling cancer, in addition to having the emotional stress, we were having major financial stress with my wife having to stay home to help take care of him. And I had almost lost it all twice. Subsequent, to that, I was able to make a comeback, my first comeback, started my mortgage company with one buddy, then we added another partner in. So it was 3 of us, and we were doing quite well until the financial collapse of 2008. And that's where I'm really going to pick up the story. So we built this business from 2 people over an Indian supermarket in Philadelphia. It was a little office, 2 phones, me and my partner, and a thermal fax machine. And we built that to over 50 employees, millions of dollars a year in revenue. And we were rocking and rolling up until obviously 2008. So what happened in '08 was the financial crash took effect, as I mentioned, and it was tightening the credit. So most people, if you had a 600 credit score, even at that time, a 520 credit score, you could get a mortgage. And so we didn't get paid unless we got mortgages pushed through. And so with the tightening of the credit, everything kind of came to a standstill. And we still had the office rent in Center City, Philadelphia, the employees, the benefits, the whole shebang. So at this time, we were sucking air, man, and it was crazy. So we tried to hang on for a little over a year. So about the end of 2009, beginning of 2010, after we had individually sunk hundreds of thousands of dollars into the business trying to keep it afloat, we finally figured out that, not figured out, but we knew it was time to it was over. It was a wrap. And so one of the things that stands out in my mind was that I came home one day and the stress in the Jones family was crazy because all we saw was money going out of the accounts, not much coming in. So if you can imagine yourself driving down a highway on a desert and somebody has you got a hole in your gas tank and you see that gas meter running from full all the way back down to empty quickly, that's kind of what it felt like. And so the stress level was high in the Jones family. And my wife one night after dinner, she was like, yo, dude, she said, I know you got a family at work, but what are you going to do about this family here? She said, we're dying. And that was the signal for me. And I knew it, but I was trying to hold on. We're figuring we could ride this thing out. That was the signal for me to pull the plug. And so I pulled the plug. I talked to my partners. They were in agreement. And we shut it down. We gave our employees a couple of weeks, let them know in advance, hey, we about to shut it down. You got to go find new employment. We'll still pay you while you're looking. And so that was our parting gift because they were like family. So when you have somebody else's well-being, financial well-being in your hands, you want to make sure that you treat them well. And so after that, since the money wasn't coming in, I'm like, man, what am I going to do now? So you have to understand from my perspective. And so I can only speak from the perspective of a man. And if I'm the provider and the protector of my family, and I see my wife struggling, I see her breaking down crying because the bill collectors are calling. It was like nonstop, relentless. And it was just closing in on her as the protector of the family. And I see my wife like that, obviously doesn't bode well on me. And that obviously affects me. Now, my girls at the time, they didn't know what was going on. We still had food. We still had, a roof over our head, barely. And we still had our vehicles. But we were fighting off foreclosure, fighting off, repossession with the cars. Credit cards were behind, the whole thing. So we literally almost lost it all for the second time. And so my mindset at the time was I was really depressed. And it's funny. I want to talk about this real quick. A lot of times us black folk, especially black men, don't believe in depression. And I was one of those idiots. Not that I didn't believe in it, but I'm like, nah, it ain't that bad. Trust me. Trust me, it can get real bad. I went to the cardiologist because I thought I was having a heart attack. And I went and got an EKG, ran the treadmill, and the doctor was like, nah, you good, bruh. He said, stress. Stress is literally eating you alive. Felt like somebody was sitting on my chest at all times. And so I'm trying to figure out a way to make a comeback. So at this time, I was taking some independent consulting jobs. I was doing some advertising consulting for a couple of the major newspapers, contract consulting, anything just trying to stem the tide and be able to bring some stuff in while I figured this out. And so because I had been entrenched in the mortgage industry and the financial services industry for so long, it was tough to get back out. Nobody was hiring. I even thought about going back and getting a job, even though I put the kibosh on that because a lot of people weren't hiring. They weren't going to pay me what I was worth. So I said, man, I got to figure this out. So I was laying on my couch and my wife and the girls were upstairs sleeping. I don't know how, because I was over there looking at the ceiling trying to figure out how I was going to keep the lights on and the house not getting foreclosed and the cars not getting repoed. And I said, man, I got to make another comeback. I got to make another comeback. And so this didn't happen right away. So for a period from about 2010 to 2014, about 4 years, I'm trying businesses. Nothing is really catching on. I'm doing my independent contracting and consulting work. I'm trying to formulate a game plan to come back. And it's funny because I know Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. Trust me, I'm not trying to compare myself to Jesus, but the brother was in the wilderness for 4 years, from about 2010 to 2014. And then finally, something hit me, and it's like, I had been thinking about this. I said, man, when I make a comeback, that comeback has to be aligned with my inner, not chasing paper, not doing this, not doing that. So I started thinking, and I wrote down, what are some of the things that I like and like to do, and what are some of the things I don't like and don't want to do. So I started with the dislikes, things I didn't want to do. I didn't want to have 50 employees anymore. I literally didn't want to have any employees anymore. I didn't want to have a $10,000, $12,000 monthly rent in Center City, Philadelphia for a 6,000 square foot office. I didn't want to have to go into an office all the time. And I didn't want the pressure of having to take care of anybody else but me and my family. Also, I wanted unlimited income and the ability to make decisions without having to talk to partners or, business associates. And so some of the things that I did like were, I like my freedom and flexibility. I look for unlimited income. And I always wanted to be able to work on and focus on projects and things that meant something to me. That not just like I did an episode a couple of weeks ago titled, chasing paper versus chasing purpose. I want to work on things that make me or help me feel fulfilled, like I'm doing my service or I'm finding my assignment. And so in 2014 is when I started Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, the podcast. I believe it was September of 2014 was my first show. And I did that basically for cathartic reasons. And so I never did this to make money. That kind of just evolved based on what the BEB family wanted. And the whole concept of Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was that of service. Wasn't about money, it was that of service. So for years, since I've been a serial entrepreneur, everybody has come to me, family, friends, relatives, friends of friends. Hey, Jay, how do you start this business? How do you do that? So I figured that other people would like to hear that type of information. And that's why I started the podcast back in September of 2014. And so while I'm still trying to figure everything out, I'm still in the wilderness right now. I'm not making a whole lot of money. I got a couple businesses working, but when you're used to a certain level and you're not back there yet, it really bothers you, right? So you're accustomed to things. You get accustomed to living a certain way. And I'm like, man, how am I going to get back here? But what I did learn and what I did understand from before my previous business entities or enterprises was, I had to start thinking from aligning from with what's in. A lot of time we look at the external, but let me align my business and my purpose with what I'm about. Okay, so I wanted everything to be aligned. So that was BEB. And then I started playing around and I started thinking about the things that I wanted. And so when I talked about freedom, flexibility, unlimited income, I started doing research, and I literally was doing research for about 6 months on e-commerce. And, there's a ton of information out there, guys. And it wasn't as much as it is now back in 2014, but it still was a ton of information, and you don't know who to hitch your wagon to. So I had to learn also that I can only really deal with a couple of sources. So if you got 35 sources you getting information from, you're going to have overload. So I had to kind of weed out and start focusing on some of the sources that I thought were reputable. And so I started hearing about, a lot of these white groups and white folks are talking about this private label stuff, which was something that I had been doing years ago when I had the condom business. You find a manufacturer, you rebrand, you repackage the product as your own. So it was nothing new to me. It was just on a different platform. So as opposed to, selling door to door or, email or on TV or on the radio, now I could create my own brand and sell it online. So the story goes, and like I said, if you heard the story before, please forgive me, but there's new listeners that listen to the podcast every day, and I have to be respectful of them. So I want to give them the full impact of today's story. So as I'm trying to figure everything out, like I said, having minimal success, nothing is really popping. And I'm feeling that, I'm not serving, I'm not living in my assignment or my purpose. And so the podcast starts, that sparks me. That's like, I'm talking about stuff that I love. People are responding slowly. First episode in the first month only did 170 downloads, and that was probably mostly family and friends. But it still felt good to get it out and talk about it. And like I said, I wasn't worried about monetization because that wasn't even the purpose of the podcast. And so I started dabbling in e-commerce. And I started talking about that on the podcast as things got, moved forward a little bit. And it's funny because one of the things that I try to do on the podcast is I only talk about things that I have done or the guests. So the guests I bring on, they talk about things that they've done. So a lot of times you'll see stuff out there and people are talking about stuff that's theory. I believe in theory, but I'm more about practical application and giving people actionable steps with things that you have experience with, not something you heard, but something that you've done. So I always try to keep that angle when I do my shows. 99% of the shows I do, if I'm talking, if I'm a solo show, it's about something that I've done or some of my thoughts or things of that nature. So anyway, my wife was getting ready to go to work one morning and her flat iron broke. And she's all upset. She's like, oh, man, I got to go to the mall after work to get me a new flat iron. And just by chance, I was in there in the bathroom shaving while she was doing her hair. And I said, well, how much does a flat iron cost? And she said, a good one costs anywhere from $150 to $200. And I'm like, huh? I said, for this? So I hold up a flat iron. She was like, yeah, it's got to have high heat. It's got to have ceramic plates. It has to have digital this, it's got to have all of it. And I'm like, what? And so to me, flat irons don't look, they don't look that expensive. So I know there's a markup. So the light bulb goes off and I start to go on Alibaba.com. And I'm sure almost all of you have heard of that now, but it's a site where manufacturers are that you can find manufacturers, mostly in China and overseas, that can manufacture products for you. And so, all right, I'm looking at this private label stuff. And so what I did was I said, let me order 3 flat iron samples. So I go on Alibaba, look at 3 manufacturers, try to match up the flat iron she has to some of these manufacturers. So I get the 3 flat irons back and I asked my daughters and my wife for 6 weeks, you guys try out these flat irons. Let me know what you think. And so after 6 weeks, they all came back and I asked them individually, which one do you like the best? And they all 3 said this one particular model. And I said, okay. Now, I did things backwards. And what we're talking about today, guys, is how e-commerce saved my life. And maybe it can do the same for you. So before I knew if this thing was going to sell or not, I went and I trademarked the name. I created nice visual packaging, and once again, I wasn't bringing in goo gobs of money at the time. I was still doing several things, but nothing had really popped right then. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to try it. And it's so funny, guys, because my wife and my girls, they're laughing at me. Dad, what you doing now? Oh, here goes Daddy. And then my wife be cracking up too. But I didn't listen to that because what I saw was an opportunity. And so when I went on Alibaba and I started getting these flat irons shipped to me, some of the prices, the one that I actually picked, it was $5.50. Now, that was without any of my branding, private labeling, my high-end packaging and all of that stuff. But after I had my logo put on it, high-end packaging, landed, meaning from China to my door, well, each unit cost $10.78. All right, $10.78. All right, now, so what I'm doing is I'm creating the perception and positioning this as a professional salon grade tool, high-end flat iron. Okay, now it was pretty similar to the one my wife had bought from the mall. So I'm like, all right, and she was like, yeah, it works well. I like it. It's real. It's heavy. It's industrial type and it's nice. So the sale price was the retail price was $199, but the quote unquote sales price was $129. So I'm looking at the margins, $10.78 cost versus $129 retail. And I'm not going to get into all the technicalities and stuff like that. But every time I sold one on Amazon, minus Amazon's fees, I think I made $106.02 or $102.06. I can't remember. I've changed the price subsequent to that. But, we're talking about how e-commerce saved my life. And so I started selling. And from June of 2015, okay, and I've been working on this for about 6 months. So I started like at the end of 2014. June of 2015 to December 31st of 2015, I grossed $272,000. And I had a profit margin of about 70%. All right, so you guys do the math. And so even though I was surviving and, I was okay from pretty much 2011 to 2014, I was there, getting by, scraping and scratching, not having any direction. And as I said, in the wilderness damn near for 4 years. What this allowed me to do was several things. Number one, it created passive income or semi-passive. I'm not going to say it's totally passive because you have to make sure your inventory is right, customer service, the whole thing. I don't know if there's truly anything that's totally passive, but this is semi-passive. And so what it allowed me to do was to focus on the things that I like to do. And remember, I said when doing my introspection, what do I like to do? What don't I like to do? I want to have unlimited income. I don't want to have to go in the office. I want passive income. I want to be able to work on projects and things that are fulfilling to me. And so when I say e-commerce saved my life, that in conjunction with Black Entrepreneur Blueprint hit at the right time where it enabled me to focus all my energies on my assignment. And my assignment is to be able to help serve and uplift the Black community through economic development, through entrepreneurship. That is my assignment. So I don't know if you know your assignment, and hopefully you do, but once you're able to tackle your assignment and be able to live in that space, life is going to be something that you probably never dreamed before. But in order to do that, you have to be economically viable. It has to be feasible. And so what e-commerce did was it allowed me to do what I needed to do, or what technically I was assigned to do. Now, assignment sometimes are things that you're supposed to do that you don't necessarily want to do. So in biblical references, Moses was assigned to free his people, even though he really didn't think he was capable of doing it. So sometimes your assignment is something that you are compelled to do, even though it may not be something that you want to do. But I know this is my assignment, and it's also my service. So e-commerce allowed me to break out with that. And one of the beautiful blessings was during the early years of the show, I was sharing a lot of this information just because I was super excited about what was going on and how it was transforming my life. And so I wanted to share that with everybody, anybody I could talk to. If they were business minded, I was like, yo, you need to check out e-commerce. And so not just because I was making money, but it's a vehicle and it's a way for people to be able to live and do what they're supposed to do. Literally, it saved my life because I'm going to tell you guys, once you're used to doing what you want to do, when you want to do it, with whoever you want to do it, and then you got to go back and now you can't rub two nickels together. You're worrying about your electric bill, your mortgage, your car payments, keeping the lights on. It's tough, man. So once your mind expands to a certain, level or space, it's hard for it to go back down. So when you become accustomed to things, not that you can't, readjust, but the question is, do you want to adjust? You want to get higher. You want to get not necessarily more, but you want to expand. And it doesn't necessarily mean just money. It could be in thought process, mind, spiritual, whatever. You want to expand, because if you're staying the same, you're really going backwards. It's all about progression. And that's with your business, that's with your life, that's with your health, that's with your relationships, it's with your spirituality, whatever it is, you always want to be progressing. There's no such thing as standing still, family. All right, let me get back to the story. I don't want to go off the rails, with this. But so I told you when it was September 2008, where I was in Philadelphia at my home. My wife and my two daughters were involved, 10 and 13 at the time. What happened? The crash happened. I was about to lose everything. I was hanging on, wandering in the wilderness, not knowing what to do and really how to get out of it. And then I happened upon e-commerce. And once again, I started looking at the trends. And one of the things that I always say is that, we're leading the trends when it comes to fashion and music and things like that. We have to start being trendsetters when it comes to business. And so one of the things, that's why I preach e-commerce all the time. Even though it's nothing new, but I'm telling you, this is in its infancy. So what happened was the resolve or resolution for me was that my first e-commerce product catapulted me into a different atmosphere in terms of mindset and passive income, and allowed me basically to focus on the most important things in my life, my family, being able to work on projects and do things, not worrying about where the money is going to come from, and serving. And so really it saved my life and gave me the freedom to do what I needed to do. So that's why I'm such a big proponent of e-commerce. And so I want to talk to you guys about the moral of the story. All right. Because I definitely wanted to have a moral of the story. So if you're struggling or if you're looking to find something to save you, I want to let y'all know right now, nobody's going to give it to you. Nobody, no white knight's going to come to your door, knock on the door, say, yo, here it is. Here's all the money you need or whatever you need to be successful. So the moral of the story is you got to take action and you have to create your own opportunities. Even though I was mentally jacked up, beaten down, depressed, I still knew that nobody was going to save me. I had to figure this thing out on my own, and I kept trying things. Like I said, when I started this flat iron thing, my wife and kids were laughing at me. Now I laugh with them, but inside it hurt me. I'm like, damn, they don't even believe in the brother no more. They laughing at me, literally joking. Oh, man, they kids, dad, you don't even have no hair. What you know about flat irons? That's why I got y'all. Y'all are my focus group. Okay. But literally, I knew nobody was coming to the rescue. So I had to figure it out myself. The moral of the story is, family, you have to take action and create your own opportunities. All right. You have to do that. And so once again, I never knew that e-commerce was going to be the thing, but I kept trying. I kept swinging. And some of the things or the benefits that I love about e-commerce, and I want to talk to y'all about that, is number one, it was a low barrier to entry. So you can start with a couple $100s in e-commerce. You don't have to go in and order 5,000 flat irons, right? My first order, I believe, was 100 flat irons. 100 flat irons at $10.78 shipped to me, plus the shipping. So it was under $2,000. Also, you can start part-time without quitting your full employment. Okay. So I was still doing my independent contracting work and my consulting while I started my e-commerce business. Another benefit is it's easy to scale. So as opposed to selling your time for dollars or trading your time for dollars, you're scaling units. So I was able to scale units, which didn't require any more of my time. So if I sold 500 flat irons one month or 5,000 flat irons one month, it really didn't matter to me because I'm scaling units. It had nothing to do with my time. Okay. You can also be incognito about your products or your brand. Nobody has to know what you're doing. You could work a full-time job and be making crazy money on the side. How many product owners do you really know, except for the big products? Apple, all, Microsoft and all of that stuff. But how many product owners do you really know? Not many. So you can be incognito. And we're talking about some of the benefits of e-commerce. You can also simply start, guys, with Amazon arbitrage. Very simple to start with Amazon arbitrage. And all that is go and find it something in Walmart, Target, or whatever at a low price, buying it and reselling it on Amazon. And so Amazon has the app, the Seller Central app, where you can actually look or scan products. And there's other apps out there too that'll do it. It'll tell you what it's selling for on Amazon, and then you can literally make the decision right there. So if you're in the store and you see a pair of shoes or something, and they're on sale because it's a closeout and the shoes are only $15, you scan the shoes or whatever, and you see that they're selling on Amazon for $55. All right, buy the shoes at $15, put it on Amazon. When they sell, you've made a profit. You're not creating anything at that point in time. And this is all e-commerce, right? If you do any handcrafted items, Amazon does have a handcrafted platform now. Also, you got Etsy and things like that. Sell it on there, right? You can also sell products in an industry that interests you. So we talked about purpose and things of that nature. Now, I had no interest in flat irons, but I'm a little different. So I'm the type of entrepreneur that enjoys building things. I don't care, or building businesses. I don't really care what the business is. I enjoy the process of building things. But if you have an interest in a specific niche, be it hobbies, right? It could be toy trains. It could be art. It could be whatever it is. You can build your e-commerce business around something that has an interest to you. Another thing is that you have unlimited income opportunity. Now, once again, I'm not going to say unlimited, but the ability to create unlimited opportunity is there. Now, you're going to have money for inventory, so that may limit you. But if you're getting massive orders, trust me, there'll be people that'll finance you. And so you don't have to worry about that. So you have unlimited income opportunity. I talked about the passive nature or semi-passive nature of e-commerce because, once again, nothing is totally or truly totally passive. You still have to pay attention to it. You still have customer service. You have to make sure your inventory is there and all of those good things. Also, another benefit in e-commerce is you can create a subscription type product. Okay, so a lot of supplement companies, right? You buy it 1 month and then the next month it'll come $29 auto bill. So you're building a monthly recurring revenue. So you sell a customer one time, and each month, as long as they stay on that product, and a lot of times supplement companies are very big with this, you'll make money. So there's tons of benefits for e-commerce. And like I said, e-commerce pretty much saved my life. I was hanging on financially, but it catapulted me into a different mindset. It allowed me to jumpstart my entrepreneurial juices, and it just gave me the flexibility, freedom, and the income to be able to focus on the things that are important to me. And now when I wake up, I can work on projects and things that I feel are important, that are fulfilling to me. And so when I say it saved my life, it literally has. Because trust me, I've been there when I worked at a job and I'm doing something I really didn't give a damn about. I could care less about it, but I'm doing it for the paycheck. Been there, done that, and finished with that. All right. And hopefully you guys, be it e-commerce or whatever type of way that you can figure out, hopefully you'll get to that point too. One of the things is I did want to mention Brand Builder Academy Elite, BBAelite.com. That's my flagship e-commerce program. So if you're serious about building an e-commerce business, take a look at it. Who's it for? And yeah, I definitely want to say this because I believe in it so much, and I know what e-commerce has done for me. I definitely want to mention this to you guys, and I mention it on all the shows anyway, but I really want to hone in real quick for about 2 to 3 minutes. There's something that's called the cost of inaction, right? Cost of inaction, meaning it costs you not to do something. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, a lot of people sell on return on investment. And I'm going to tell you right now that I can't guarantee that you're going to be successful in e-commerce. And the reason being is I don't know if you're going to work the program. I know if you work the program and you follow the systematic steps, I know you will have some success. I don't know to what degree. A lot depends on the product you picked or the brand you try to create, and how serious you are about it. Okay, so I can't give you that, but what I can tell you is there is a cost of inaction. So if you're sitting in a place right now where you're not happy with your income, you're not satisfied, continue to do nothing, and guess what's going to happen? The same thing that's been happening for the last months or years or whatever. So there is a cost to inaction. Okay, so if your objective is, hey, I want to make $2,000 a month, right? Now you're making zero right now, and you have the opportunity to say you want to make $2,000 a month, right? With your e-commerce business, your cost of inaction is $2,000 a month. That's because you're losing the opportunity to do that via e-commerce, and it doesn't matter what your goal is, right? If you have a business right now, or be it an e-commerce business and you need to level up, hey, this may be the thing for you. So I like to start by telling people who this is not for, right? Well, actually, let me tell you who it's for. So in short, I want people that are literally sick and tired, right? So on Sunday night, if you literally get sick Sunday night thinking about going to work Monday morning, Brand Builder Academy Elite is for you. BBAelite.com is for you. All right. I want people that are like 2 seconds away from choking the bejesus out of their boss because they're not happy or satisfied at their job, right? I want the person that's fed up living the way they're currently living and really wants to make a change. Those are the type people from history in the course that are super successful. So I say this to my kids all the time. Change is never made until the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of change. Now, I didn't come up with that. I don't know who did, but it's a hell of a statement. Change is never made until the pain of staying the same, doing what you already doing, outweighs the pain of change. So that's when people make changes. I see it all the time as a coach. Hey, I want to do this. Yeah, can you mentor me? Can you do that? Yeah, let's go. And then, it'll start off good, but then people will fall off. They not hungry enough. That's why I say who this is for. I want the people that are ready, that are getting physically ill Sunday night because they got to go to work Monday morning. These are the cats that need to get into this program. I want the cats that are ready to put their boss in a headlock. Those are the cats that I want in the program, because those are the ones that are successful, because the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of change. So that's who I want to enroll. So if you're interested, guys, go to BBAelite.com and use the coupon code BBA200, or lowercase b, BA200, and that'll take $200 off of the enrollment cost. And that's good for the first 3 to 5 people. I think I put the coupons at 3 people. So go to BBAelite.com, use the coupon code BBA200, and you'll save $200 off the program. So that's my story, guys. And the reason I wanted to tell a story as opposed to give actionable steps is a lot of times people like stories. So if you're a first time listener, you got my Back Black story right there. That's an abbreviated version of the story, but really making 2 comebacks after almost losing it all twice. And it's only God that got me and my family through this. It ain't me, but I'm in there digging. I'm in there looking for ways, because I know I have to make something happen. I know I need to take action. And that's what I want to get through to you guys, taking action. So before we close on out, family, I want to give you guys my social media links and my resource links. So I mentioned at the top of the show, guys, my new book is out, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. You can go to anewblackwallstreet.com, pick yourself up a copy, print version $14.95, digital version $9.95. So if you do not go to Brand Builder Academy Elite, BBAelite.com, the book is a great place to start. It's a great place to start. Now, if you need additional assistance building your successful, sustainable e-commerce business, go to bbaelite.com. Use the coupon code BBA200. Now, I mentioned also at the top of the show 2 platforms I created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide black economy. BeSmartByBlack.com. So if you are a black product producer that wants to sell your products to black consumers, upload your product information. It is free to BeSmartByBlack.com. Now, for all you freelancers, if you do anything on Fiverr.com or Freelancer.com, I created a platform for you titled Hire Black Freelancers, HIRE, blackfreelancers.com. Once again, it is free. Upload your contact information and connect with black consumers and black businesses that want to hire black freelancers. Also, I mentioned BEB Academy, BEB Academy, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Academy. You can go to BEBacademy.com. That has all of my online courses and trainings except Brand Builder Academy. Okay, that's a standalone, BEBacademy.com. So it doesn't matter if you are a new entrepreneur or a current entrepreneur. We have programs and you can test it out free for 5 days. Go to BEBacademy.com, enroll free for 5 days, test it out. We have all types of modules on everything, finances, marketing, even e-commerce, social media. Go in and check it out, BEBacademy.com. So everything that you just heard, guys, you can find at BEBconnect.com. I'll be so glad when this new website drops, man. So y'all can just go to the website, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Academy, instead of going all over the place. BEBconnect.com, which is a page on my website that will have every link that I just gave you and also my social media contact links. So if you want to link up with me, anything long, family, hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, JAYJONES @blackentrepreneurblueprint.com, Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, Twitter, jjones001, JAYJONES001, Instagram. I got 2 Instagram accounts. My main one is J Jones for real. That's JAYJONES 4 REAL. Also, my second IG account is Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Next, YouTube. Make sure you connect with me and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. I got a whole lot of new stuff that's about to drop with this new rebranded, rebooted Black Entrepreneur Blueprint website. So it's going to be, man, it's going to be totally revamped, and you're going to see the results of that on YouTube. A lot more YouTube stuff coming out. Also, connect with me on LinkedIn. You can just search J Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. And also on Clubhouse, I'm at I am J Jones, at I am J Jones. So before we close on out, family, today's show was E-commerce Saved My Life. Maybe it can do the same for you. It might not be e-commerce. It might be something else. But make sure that you keep plugging. So if you're in a situation or position that you don't want to be in or you don't like being in, you got to keep moving. You got to keep taking action because nobody else is going to save you. I wanted to share my personal story about how e-commerce was a perfect fit or is a perfect fit for me. And subsequent to that Flatiron brand, I've built several other brands and I do one-off products and I do all types of stuff. But it's given me the freedom, flexibility, and income to be able to focus on things that are near and dear to my heart. So I just pray that everybody has that opportunity to get to that place in that space because it's a beautiful space, but it's not going to happen unless you take action. Remember, change is never made until the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of change. Now, before I go on out, family, I just want to say once again, thank you to the BEB family. We've been getting more and more downloads each and every week, and we've been rocking. Literally, it'll be 7 years in September. Please continue to spread the word about the podcast, the blog, and everything. And once again, it's about building an economic power base in the black economy. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.